But what I've been surprised in getting to know him is what a kind of deep, multidimensional, and thoughtful character he is, and how well. I also thought, oh, he doesn't read, and he's not interested in anything. He's immensely curious, inquisitive.
Watch Robert F. Kennedy Jr. pay a very kind tribute to President Donald Trump as he sits and has a very long, wide-ranging discussion with Tucker Carlson. Folks, you're not going to want to miss this, okay? Trump, there are so many things that people say about Trump all throughout media. As I'm sure you guys know, you've got plenty of lovers and plenty of haters. Sometimes it's hard to tell what he really is like in person because you hear such extremely polarized accounts in either direction about him, good or bad. And folks, with Robert F. Kennedy Jr., it has been no exception over the years. He has spoken very ill of Trump at times, but now has turned a new leaf on the president. You'll see what I mean right now. So we're going to get right into it. But first, do me a big favor here, like our video and share it around so that way we can keep bringing you all this great, hard-hitting content. And as always, Patriots, I'm your host, Darian, and this is Resist the Mainstream.
A lot of things have surprised me about the president because I, bought into this fact that he was this one-dimensional character, that he was kind of a bombastic narcissist and all this, and part of it is hearing it all the time on TV, but also, the way that he conducts himself sometimes validates those. If you have that narrative, you can find things in what he does that validate that narrative. But what I've been surprised in getting to know him is what a kind of deep, multidimensional, and thoughtful character he is, and how well. I also thought, oh, he doesn't read, and he's not interested in anything. He's immensely curious, inquisitive, and immensely knowledgeable. He's encyclopedic in certain areas that you wouldn't expect, like music, and he gets very emotional about music. And,
yes.
And he knows the whole story behind every song.
Pavarotti and James Brown.
Yeah, and he cries when he hears Pavarotti. He said to me one night when we were at Mar-a-Lago with the Amarillas, he said, Amarillas, you understand this because she loves music too. And he said, but most of the people here, they don't understand it. They don't get it. And then in terms of sports, he is, he's an encyclopedia. He knows everything.
Who remembers when Trump played Pavarotti at his Pennsylvania town hall with Kristi Noem? Roll it.
So put on Pavarotti singing Ave Maria. Nice and loud. Turn it up louder. We want a little action here. Turn it up louder. That's for your boy. That's for your boy. Stand up. That's for their boy.
According to some media reports, Trump actually played that music for over 40 minutes during that time. Seems like it was a great time. He was dancing. People in the crowd loved it. All that. I don't know if you remember, but a lot of left-wing media outlets actually tried to spin it at the time as Trump being old and senile, because apparently that's not Biden. That's just Trump. But didn't really land, didn't work. He was just having a good time playing music. So was everybody else. As far as Trump's relationship with Pavarotti, they actually go way back. Pavarotti is, of course, now passed away, unfortunately. But Trump first met him when he performed at his Atlantic City, hotel casino auditorium back in the year 2000. There's a whole story behind that. Apparently, Pavarotti bombed performance. He was sick, wasn't feeling well. But him and Trump says they were totally cool about it. He came over, performed for free the next year to make up for it. And people loved it. Let's keep going.
And on Wall Street, he knows how everybody made their money and the stories. And he's, an incredible raconteur about telling all these stories. And then, and also the most surprising thing is because I had him pegged as a narcissist, but narcissists are incapable of empathy, and he's one of the most empathetic people that I've met. You notice whenever he talks about the Ukraine war,
yes,
he always talks about the casualties on both sides. Every time he talks about it.
I have noticed that.
And he does that in every theater. He talks about how human beings are affected by it, whether it's vaccines or Medicaid or Medicare, he's always thinking about how this impacts the little guy. And, you know, the Democrats have him pegged as a guy who's sort of sitting, you know, in the cabinet meeting talking about how can we make billionaires richer. He's the opposite of that. He's a genuine populist. And, you know, like all of us, we're all flawed characters in one way or another. But I think he's really a uniquely right person for this country right now.
It's true. Trump, generally speaking, does want to seek peace. How could anybody forget that famous moment of his back on that CNN town hall?
Because that's a really important
Excuse me,
statement
let me
that
just
you just
follow
made
up.
there. Can you say if you want Ukraine or Russia to win this war?
I want everybody to stop dying. They're dying, Russians and Ukrainians. I want them to stop dying. And I'll have that done. I'll have that done in 24 hours. I'll have it done. You need the power of the presidency to do it.
But you won't say that you want Ukraine to win. You
know what I'll say? I'll say this. I want Europe to put up more money because they're in for 20 billion. We're in for 170, and they should be. And they should equalize. They have plenty of money. They should equalize. I got with NATO.
But I'm asking
when I sat
you
down,
about
I got
Ukraine
them
right
to
now,
put up
Mr.
hundreds
President.
of billions.
Of course, in a typical fake news fashion, rather than acknowledge that Trump is trying to seek peace for both sides of the conflict, you know, not wanting people to die, seems like a pretty good message. They painted it as Donald Trump refuses to say whether you'll take a side with Russia or Ukraine in the ongoing conflict. And we all know what the little game is there. You know, Ukraine good, Russia bad. Oh, well, if you're not picking a side, that means you're a puppet of Putin. That means you want people to die. Blah, 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 blah. The real irony being that all of these globalist, neoconservative, neoliberal types who love that war, and even worse, egged on United States involvement in that war, those people are never going to acknowledge that it's a bad thing for any innocent person to die, you know, whether they're Russian, Ukrainian, whatever. You know, they just act as if like everybody in Russia is evil and everybody in Ukraine is evil. Obviously, it's not the case, okay? There are decent people everywhere, whether you like the regime or not. It's just the truth.
Because we were in a death spiral, and not only just, you know, morale, but also just, well, you know, the deficits are, you know, who could ever, would you believe we'd ever have a president in our lifetime who would actually be addressing, you know, the costs of government in a dramatic way?
No.
And the trade deficits, how could you ever cure that? They're just too entrenched, and so many people, you know, making money and on them, but meanwhile, us all going to hell in a handbasket. And, you know, so I think he's doing stuff at great political cost to him that is going to benefit this country 10 years from now and 20 years from now. And, you know, I'm really proud to be part of it.
There's a really interesting history between Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Donald Trump. For instance, back in 2016, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. basically compared Trump to the orange mustache man in Germany. The main difference, he said, according to RFK at the time, the orange mustache man actually had policies, unlike Donald Trump. Ouch. That is quite the jab. Not long after that, in 2017, there were actually discussions between Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Donald Trump about putting RFK on a vaccine commission for the Trump administration. Ultimately, that did not pan out, and it seemed like they were beefing again because in 2019, RFK Jr. said that Donald Trump essentially is bought by corporate donors. Fast forward a bit, now 2024, and just before that, RFK Jr. endorsed Trump, joined the HHS, as you all know. He really seems to like him now. Times change. I don't know. Kind of interesting. With that being said, what do you all think? Did you like this video? Do you like hearing about that background? I want to know. So be sure to comment below, everybody. And if you haven't already subscribed, hit that button down below. And that way we will see you again soon. To our returning subscribers, thank you so much. We appreciate you guys. God bless you all.